Michael Olise. Remember that name.
Oh, what about it? Fabulous hit, Olise! Olise, he is a delight!
The football world is witnessing something special. A player who has just conquered Germany with Bayern Munich. A player who's lighting up the biggest stage of them all with France. A player who has turned a horrible Real Madrid Kylian Mbappé into the scariest monster at the World Cup.
Look, first and foremost, like I talked about at the beginning of the tournament, what he does off the ball is second to none. He thinks about the game, the way he goes about the game. Michael is a freak. The way he sees stuff is just not the same way that others can see stuff. What a player, I had the privilege to coach him. It's just like sometimes he was doing stuff in training and you need to hold yourself of not going like, wow.
Not as France's biggest star, not as their captain, but somehow he became the player who made everything work.
This guy is on another planet, is just different. That's why I said at the beginning of the game, MVP will always be Kylian, because Kylian will put numbers that nobody can do. But the most important player is Michael Olise.
Every time Kylian Mbappé makes a run, Olise already knows where he's going. Every pass feels rehearsed, every attack feels inevitable, like they've been reading the same script long before the match even kicked off.
Kylian Mbappé and Michael Olise, the cheat code in this French national team. The link-up play with Olise. Olise, Vinny swap deal, done, dusted. I'll take it because the amount of synergy that these two players have is unreal on a football pitch.
The devastating chemistry between these two has caught the attention of one particular giant, a club desperately trying to rebuild its Galacticos after 2 disappointing seasons, Real Madrid. So what would happen if Michael Olise put on the famous white shirt of Real Madrid?
It's never enough at Real Madrid with the quality offensive players. And now we can confirm that Real Madrid on Tuesday are expected to bid for Michael Olise.
At club level, Olise has just enjoyed the best season of his career, scoring 15 goals and providing 19 assists in the Bundesliga. Those remarkable numbers made him the first player to record at least 15 goals and 15 assists in a single Bundesliga campaign since Jadon Sancho in 2019-20. His sensational form not only earned him the league's Player of the Season award, but also played a pivotal role in helping Bayern Munich complete a domestic double by winning both the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal.
I just play football the way that I'm used to playing, and when I was younger I played a lot on the roads, and I just tried to bring that onto the pitch, obviously with the tactics and stuff as well.
Michael Olise he's giving them that consistency that some of the white players previously didn't. And he seems to be doing it almost on a weekly basis, be it in the Bundesliga or in the Champions League.
On top of all that domestic success, however, the brightest moment of Olise's season came on Europe's biggest stage, where he personally turned himself into Real Madrid's worst nightmare in the Champions League. In the first leg at the Bernabeu, he played the role of the silent hero by delivering the decisive assist for Harry Kane's goal that doubled Bayern's lead, helping his side secure a 2-1 victory. Then, in the second leg in Munich, amid a breathtaking 4-3 win for Bayern, it was Olise himself who decided to tie with a priceless stoppage time winner, officially sealing a 6-4 aggregate triumph and knocking the Spanish giants out of the competition.
As Alphonso Davies is free far side, Olise starts running at Ferland Mendy. He tries to get the shot away. Oh, beautiful! Absolutely beautiful. He deserves it. It's another piece of history for the Champions League Museum.
What made the French star's incredible achievement even greater was the historical context, as Olise single-handedly ended 2 long-standing curses that had haunted Bayern Munich against their greatest rival for years. Before his breakthrough performances, the Bavarian Giants had not beaten Real Madrid since 2012, and had even gone a quarter of a century without winning at the Bernabeu, dating all the way back to 2001. Yet over the course of just one fiercely contested tie, Olise shattered both historic droughts and proudly carried Bayern into the next round.
Michael Olise is a different player. He might be shy when you give him a mic or whatever it is. He has a certain way of thinking, a certain way of seeing life, just like he sees the game. But you can give him a ball, it is different. He sees things that not a lot of people can see. He understands the game in a different way. He sees the game, as I mentioned, more often than not with his brain. So he doesn't look, and I mentioned that all the time, he doesn't look at the game with his eyes. So he's trying to imagine what can happen when the ball is released from the goalkeeper. You need to be in advance in your brain to see what's happening. Then he can dribble, we all know that. But he sees the game in a different way, like he sees life. So this is why sometimes people don't understand him outside of the field. But he's a lovely guy, great guy, but I can tell you what, he doesn't speak a lot outside of the field. But when he's on the ball, he speaks with the ball very well.
However, if you think Olise's world-class performances at club level represented the peak of his year, then the real answer could only be found during his blazing 2026 World Cup campaign. Right from the opening match against Senegal, he immediately claimed the Player of the Match award with a perfectly weighted assist before adding 2 more against Iraq. Olise's limitless creativity continued into the round of 32 clash with Sweden, where he produced another 2 assists, along with an overhead kick that crashed off the post and came within inches of becoming the goal of the tournament.
And Michael Olise is a guy where he almost is the glue to everything, right? I don't know how many assists he has, but it seemed like every chance came off of something that he created in the pocket in terms of movement and then slipping a pass to someone.
Yeah, okay, so look at this for the SofaScore ratings. Obviously, Mbappé was 9.8, but I think Olise really is the linchpin to those front 4, as you were talking about, Benny, because if you remove Olise, you remove essentially the architect of how they're able to play so freely, with Mbappé floating from side to side, not being that target striker. He is the player that really comes in and dictates everything, because when he is on the ball, he demands so much from the defense around him, whether he's driving out a back line or cutting in between a space. And that's where that double team does come in at times, Matteo, because Olise is driving and he gets past one defender and forces another one to step, which opens up. And that's exactly what happened with the second goal that France scored over Sweden. It was Olise driving. He gets inside this little gap, which opens up, I don't even know, half a yard of space, and he's able to slip the perfect ball through. Everything was just clicking perfectly.
With 5 assists in 5 matches, nobody at this World Cup has come anywhere close to matching his extraordinary form. The French star now sits just 1 assist away from Pelé's historic record of 6 assists in a single World Cup, set back in 1970, while officially becoming the first player since 1994 to come this close to reaching that legendary milestone. That devastating form turned Olise into the centre of attention. And when France entered a grueling battle against Paraguay, he revealed an entirely different side of his game that most highlight reels would never show you. On a night when he failed to register a single direct goal contribution, he still left a massive impact by covering more ground than anyone else on the pitch. Outperforming every player from both France and Paraguay, that match proved Olise was anything but invisible. Instead, he willingly dropped deeper, sacrificed himself, and constantly drew defenders toward him to create space for his teammate. The reason Olise was hunted so relentlessly came down to Paraguay's rugged style of play, a brand of football that virtually every major outlet described as dirty tactics, featuring a deep defensive block, relentless fouling, and a referee so lenient that the match often resembled an MMA event more than a football game. Among all the players who were repeatedly brought down, Olise suffered the most punishment. The yellow card shown in stoppage time felt almost inevitable after he had spent the entire match enduring a defensive system designed solely to isolate him and prevent him from touching the ball.
Yes, France didn't have maybe the best game, but it's impossible to play against a team like that. They refused to play. I'm sorry, but that Paraguay team was everything that I hate about football.
Just think about it. A round of 16 opponents at the World Cup decided that the best way to survive against this powerful French side was to spend the entire 90 minutes worrying about someone who was not the reigning Ballon d'Or favourite. That reality reflected a tactical blueprint built to neutralise him, but also one filled with an extraordinary level of respect reserved for him alone. It was exactly that extreme level of attention from opponents like Paraguay that elevated the entire conversation, transforming the story from simply a young star shining into a far more concrete and urgent discussion about his future. The weight of that argument appeared in FIFA own official tournament analysis, where they openly compared the partnership between Mbappé and Olise to some of the greatest World Cup duos in history, including Copa and Fontaine, as well as Cruyff and Niskens. That is the level of greatness this partnership is already being placed alongside after just one tournament together. The greatness of this new partnership is perhaps best illustrated by moments of extraordinary understanding on the pitch, and one sequence against Senegal said it all. The moment Mbappé began his run, something almost unbelievable happened. Absolutely nobody else on the field saw that pass coming, except the two of them.
Jouer avec Michael, c'est très facile. C'est un joueur qui a toujours la tête levée. Il faut toujours essayer de lui donner une solution. Il a toujours cette envie de jouer vers l'avant, de servir ses partenaires. Donc je savais qu'il allait me voir à chaque fois que j'allais faire des mouvements, même si parfois le ballon il m'arrive pas, c'est pas grave.
That unconditional understanding is also why Olise has earned complete admiration from his superstar teammate. Mbappé even praised Olise as the type of player who always keeps his head up and somehow finds every run his teammates make. That compliment was essentially Mbappé publicly writing an incredibly powerful letter of recommendation for Olise on global television. More importantly, Mbappé's current status extends far beyond being just a teammate for France, as he is now a Real Madrid star. Playing week in and week out for Los Blancos gives him a better understanding than anyone of exactly what the club's attack is missing on the right wing, making his praise for Olise carry far greater weight.
We do have a few Real Madrid players that are with the French team. Mbappé, Tchouaméni, we just signed Konate, and I'm pretty sure that they would be talking to Olise and they'd be trying to convince him to maybe hand in a transfer request to come and play in Spain. Olise understands that Bayern, even though they are one of the biggest clubs on this planet, they are still a stepping stone for Real Madrid.
The weight behind Mbappé's words extended far beyond the usual post-match press conferences, as multiple reports from Spain revealed that he had personally recommended Olise's name to Real Madrid's head of scouting. It was a development that went beyond anything the media could have imagined, because Real Madrid's own superstar striker was actively lobbying for the move from inside the club. The significance of that recommendation is therefore extraordinary. This is nothing like signing a promising winger and simply hoping chemistry develops over time. This is a partnership that has already been battle-tested throughout an entire World Cup, backed by the strongest possible endorsement from the most influential voice in Real Madrid's dressing room. The chemistry between these two superstars already exists and has been spectacularly proven on the biggest stage in world football. The only question now is whether Real Madrid have the courage and the financial power to turn that partnership into a weekly reality at the Bernabeu instead of seeing it only once every 2 years in the national team. Los Blancos have just endured 2 consecutive trophyless seasons, with the lowest point coming when they watched Barcelona clinch the La Liga title in an El Clasico. It marked the first time in 94 years that Spain's biggest prize was decided directly by a winner-takes-all showdown between the two eternal rivals. That crushing defeat went far beyond the boundaries of an ordinary disappointing season, officially sounding the alarm and forcing Real Madrid into an immediate revolution.
Well, Real Madrid has been very busy this off-season. You could say refreshed and revamped, as they're coming off a season where they didn't win a single trophy, something that does not happen very often in their history. You see some ins: Ibrahima Konate, Bernardo Silva, Denzel Dumfries, Marco Correa, Endrick, and leaving Nico Paz back to Como, Fran Garcia to Real Betis, and Mario Maldin. So a lot of changes to this Real Madrid side, and hey, that also includes the head coach. José Mourinho's return as Real Madrid head coach officially began yesterday, with the Portuguese legend arriving at the club's training facility to begin working on his second tenure in charge of the Spanish Giants.
Real Madrid's response to the crisis was swift and ruthless, as Florentino Perez secured another term as club president, while the club immediately sent shockwaves through world football by bringing José Mourinho back. 13 years after ending his first spell, the Special One officially returns to the Bernabeu dugout on a 3-year contract. The arrival of the Portuguese manager also marked the beginning of the club's most serious rebuilding phase. Several respected Spanish outlets, most notably Sport and El Debate, simultaneously reported that Perez is preparing a blockbuster offer worth around €223 million for Olise, including a guarantee fee plus performance-related add-on. That astonishing figure carries special significance because it would officially surpass Neymar's all-time transfer record set in 2017, a benchmark that has stood untouched for nearly a decade. However, before fans rush to print Olise shirts, it's important to recognise that this deal is incredibly complicated, a fascinating puzzle that goes far beyond an ordinary transfer saga. Bayern Munich's hierarchy have repeatedly issued firm public statements aimed at warning off their rivals. Club president Herbert Hainer sent a blunt message to Real Madrid, saying Florentino Perez would be better off saving his time instead of pursuing an impossible target. The German champions have never considered themselves a club that sells its biggest stars, while Olise remains under contract until 2029 with absolutely no release clause. On paper, the Bavarian giants hold every possible advantage.
I also understand Bayern's position in that we're a big club, we're a profitable club, and Michael Olise is a big part of our successes, certainly over the last couple of seasons. And so it serves them better to have the player than to have an even more top-heavy balance sheet. So you understand that perspective as well. While we accept that there's a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing and contact with agents and quiet contact with players, if I'm Bayern, as a result, I'm taking an even firmer stance on this. In that, I am also a big club. I'm a profitable club. I'm a successful club, and I'm not going to be bullied. And I think this is a time and a position for Bayern to kind of establish that.
Even Olise's teammates have been dragged into the middle of these transfer rumours. Immediately after the victory over Paraguay, centre-back Dayo Upamecano was approached by a Sky Sport Germany reporter and directly questioned about the possibility of Olise joining Real Madrid.
Bei Olise gibt es viele Gerüchte auch rund Real Madrid. Hast du mal mit ihm geredet und gesagt, Junge, bleib auf jeden Fall bei Bayern?
Bleibt.
Dankeschön.
Upamecano is right. There's no chance for Michael Olise to make a transfer this summer, and the club made this clear to the player. And of course, he's now at the national team, and many players are working on him and saying like Mbappé, Real Madrid is also a nice club and the weather is better in Madrid than in Spain. But we are happy we have Upamecano there, who has a little bit control of the situation and can say, stop it now, he's a Bayern Munich player and I need him next season.
Even so, one revealing detail completely shook the confidence behind Bayern's public denials. Sky Sport Germany reported that José Mourinho personally flew to Berlin to watch Olise in the DFB Pokal final. Although Bayern honorary president Uli Hoeneß publicly laughed it off and called the trip a waste of time, fans understood that Real Madrid would never send their newly appointed head coach across two countries just to watch a player who was supposedly unavailable, unless there was some indication that the door to a transfer was still slightly open. Facing growing public speculation, Real Madrid even released an official statement denying any direct contact with either Olise or his representatives. The Spanish giants also emphasised that the two clubs maintain a mutual agreement of respect, under which neither side will directly approach the other's players without first informing the opposing club's board. The final piece of the puzzle, and ultimately the man who holds the power to decide this entire transfer, is Olise himself. Multiple reliable Spanish sources have revealed that the forward plans to sit down with Bayern Munich's board immediately after the World Cup concludes in order to clarify his place and long-term role in the club's project before making his final decision. The media itself remains deeply divided. Some outlets believe he is ready to sign a new contract, while other well-connected sources insist the exact opposite. According to that view, Olise feels he has already conquered almost everything there is to achieve domestically with Bayern Munich, while recognising that winning the Champions League has become a far more difficult mountain to climb in Germany than at Real Madrid. For that reason, the Bernabeu has become the destination where the French star's greatest ambitions now lie.
Michael Olise is now seriously considering his future at Bayern Munich. Now, this doesn't mention anything about joining Real Madrid this year, and to be honest, I don't think it happens this year, but I do think in the next 2 to 3 years, we will see Michael Olise linking up with Mbappé at Real Madrid. And let me be clear, if that happens, we will see another three-peat for Real Madrid. Michael Olise, for me, is probably a top 3 player in the world, and I think he's going to win multiple Ballon d'Ors in his career. He's only 24. I think he wins probably at least 2 Ballon d'Ors in his career, and I think going to Real Madrid, linking up with Mbappé, scoring, assisting, just like he has been at this current World Cup, I think it's money for Real Madrid. But with the prices we've been seeing with Elliot Anderson, Mateus Fernandes, Tonali, even Diomande, I think this is the sort of deal that Real Madrid are going to have to pay upwards of £200 million to get this over the line.
All of those pieces of evidence lead us to one undeniable conclusion. This is the player who personally knocked Real Madrid out of the Champions League. The player whom legendary figures have described as even more important than the reigning Ballon d'Or favourite. The player whose partnership with Mbappé for France has already been compared to the greatest duos in World Cup history, while Mbappé himself is reportedly pushing for a reunion at club level. After 2 trophyless seasons, Real Madrid also understand that the stars already in their squad are not enough, and they are now led by a battle-tested manager who personally travelled to scout his target. Think back to that match against Paraguay, where Olise finished with neither a goal nor an assist. where his only visible mark on the score sheet was a yellow card, yet the entire opposition defence still built its system around stopping him. What looked like a quiet performance was, in reality, the loudest and most valuable scouting report Florentino Perez has ever received for free. If you enjoy our video, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach to other football lovers, and hit the subscribe button to follow for more interesting videos about football stories. See you in the next video.